What's up, YouTube world? Another video coming at you for November. Bulk vintage. I hope. We have no idea. I just know it's bulk because of the AC on the box. Ooh, looks like more modern. Boo! No, it's all good. Really lacking inventory right now on a certain material. Vintage would be fantastic to get back right now. Mostly because that's kind of the direction of the like most of the sales right now. Been selling a lot of obsolete notes, a lot of mid-grade, large size type stuff that's gotten that has nice eye appeal and has a good price point. A lot of times for collectors, it's not about value. It's more about value than it is about how much they're spending. There's a collector level, it seems like, for about every type of note and condition. But I tell everybody the sweet spots, like VF30 for most everything. So we have here some more bulk modern, a little bit of play on numbers here with the semi-fancy serial number 66Q on the $2 star. Engraving error, backplate 295. A lot of people don't know this, but they messed up on the engraving of this, and this is an actual error. So it's backplate 295, which is an engraving error. So I'm gonna have a little bit of those to show. So here's a 7. Here's a 7. 7. And these are not sequential because that's just how they were printed. So it's like, I think it skips every fourth note would have been a engraving error. I do have some of these with the bookend, which would be the note prior and behind. So lots of 67s, that's great. 64, little bit tapered on the cut on the top, which still super nice, well centered. We have a 6. Another 6. Some 7s. Lots of 7s. So this particular note, there's not a lot of them out there that are certified. I've seen quite a few of them in collections that are not uncirculated, so people pull them out of pocket change, so that's not uncommon. 1963 star note, 65. Here's another one. There's probably a district set here. Yep, L, K, so you have a whole district set. J and 68, wowzers. That's a great note. I and 65. H, G. The F was a lonely 64, which it happens. E for Richmond, real short on the left margin there. Cleveland Mule star note. So 1963, you'll have mules and non-mules. So when you see mule and you start looking at the backplate, so this is backplate 435. This was actually the backplate they would have used on 1957 B silver certificates. Little fun history there. It's actually very collectible. People like to put together both sets, mules and non-mules. So here's a New York in 6. Mule, Boston in 64. And then we have a 1963 A series, probably another district set. So San Francisco, Dallas, Kansas City, Minneapolis. Now, these are super affordable. I believe 65s on the more common stuff, you know. So like a New York at 65 is probably like $27.99 or $29.99. And you probably get $4 to $5 more for like a Minneapolis or a Dallas, just because it's a better known district or more highly collected. There's probably twice as many people collecting Minneapolis as there is, you know, St. Louis or, you know, even Chicago. But I do have some customers that just specifically collect just Chicago for every series. So there's so many different ways to collect modern Federal Reserve notes. And the other thing about some of these is they weren't really saved. Paper money really was never a thought of, hey, we should save some of this back. So some of these sets can be a challenge to assemble. You can also do some of these sets by like fancy serial numbers or error notes. You can do it by grade. You can do it by grade. You could do it by faceplate or backplate number. I mean, you can really get down to the nitty gritty. So here's a 69 district set. Starts off with Boston, and not every year or series produces all 12 districts. So that's another fun thing about this. So like 63B, which is the bar note, I believe they only issued 5 districts out of the 12. So 67 right off the bat. Then we go into a 64, 65, 65, 66, 66. A lot of people also collect because this was, you know, they remember this from their childhood, or this was the year they were born, or this was the year that Grandpa gave them their first note. You know, there's so many things that can attract people to why we collect or why we want to seek something out. Personally, I wasn't born in '69. I can see the fun in collecting the early 60s stuff. There's the Minneapolis in 6. Kansas City in 5. There's just so many different avenues you can go down when it comes to collecting paper money. And part of my job of showing you notes is trying to put the idea into your head that, hey, I could collect it, you know, I can do it this way or I can do it that way. I ask myself a lot when I go to shows, what have I done lately to help create a new collector? And that's part of why I do these videos. Is this isn't my personal collection. This is my job. This is, you know, my day-to-day depends on doing these videos. So it's different for me. I'm not doing these videos out of necessity. I'm doing these videos because I want to do them. Nobody said, hey, if you don't do these videos. I really think that, and this is just, like I said, this is a personal opinion. I feel like there's not a lot of resources for paper money collecting other than books. You can watch some videos on Facebook. Some of them go down the rabbit hole of just odd or different. Some of the fancy serial stuff, I don't agree with it being fancy. Like people talk about like quads but I'm not here to say you can't collect. You could collect however you want to, but you know, for me, a true fancy serial number is, you know, like a ladder is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you hear a term broken ladder. To me, that's not a thing. You know, you're only close in horseshoes and hand grenades. So here's some more 69 stars. Another district set. So a lot of these come out of older estates. People ask me, where do you get a 1969 district set? A lot of these have been put away since the 1970s, and I buy them out of estates that I purchase. So that's part of it. The other part of it is It used to be back in the day something neat to try to assemble sets with the last 2 digits matching. So if you notice 79, 79, 79. So this was something they would have did back in the 60s and 70s to collect sets, was to go to shows or go to the bank and try to find these notes with the last 2 matching numbers. So here's a little bit shorter serial number, 5-digit. As far as grade goes, grade really doesn't matter on these unless you get, 68 or higher. 67s are still very affordable. You're talking about under $50. This is also a super fun way to entry-level collecting. Try to get you into collecting and understand why notes grade what they grade. Try to understand the differences between some of the districts and some of the printing methods. Some notes from some districts just come really nice. The black seems like it's a little bit blacker. Even though they're all printed at the same place, it's just the time they were printed or how they were printed. So here's a 69A star set. Starts out with Boston in 65. Kansas City in 6. Minneapolis in 67. I believe this might be one of the key notes to the whole set. 69A San Francisco in 6. Here's a St. Louis in 63. Chicago in 6. Atlanta in 5. Richmond in 6. Cleveland in 6. Philadelphia in 6. And in New York in 6. Then it starts over and we get into 1974, which is starting to become more popular. Here you have your Boston in 6. New York in 7. Philadelphia in 7. Wow, Cleveland in 69. That's wow. Let's look at the registration on this note. Absolutely impeccable registration. The centering is... Now that is a note. Absolutely gorgeous note. These are grades. I haven't looked at any of these grades. So Richmond in 5. So that was cool to see that. Here's a just a flat 64, and it looks like it has just a smidge of a tipped corner. So I guess that's most likely going to be the reason for non-EPQ. But moving on, Chicago in 7. Some really nice notes in this group. St. Louis in 66. Minneapolis in 67. Another question people tend to ask me, so here's a 4-digit serial in Kansas City in 6. Like when you're collecting these types, do you try to buy them all in PMG? Do you try to buy them in PCGS? For me, when I buy notes, I don't really care so much about this part of it. I care about this part, and I care about how the note looks. To me, they both are very accurate at grading. Every once in a while, a note will get out that you're just kind of like, it could have been a 65 or could have been a 66, or I think they might have missed something. That note looks, not quite as nice as a VF30. Getting to the point to where you can inspect the note and understand the grade for the note and why it's assigned takes a little bit of time. If you're really interested in it, it probably takes you 4 to 6 months to start understanding, why a grade is VF30. Why did I grade this note? It's a 4-digit serial. So this note probably retails $60-ish, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit more. But buy nice notes with nice margins and nice color. And sometimes when the stars align, notes just some series just don't come 67. So don't chase the grade, chase nice notes. Even though, wow, here's a 68. Even though you're buying a note and it's in a 64, make sure it's well centered, or, you know, make sure it's got good color. There's some ugly 64s and there's some really pretty 64s out there. 65. Ooh, another 67. Another 68. That's awesome. Another 67. Personally, in my videos, I think you guys have seen enough of my notes to say that I really try to send the nicest looking notes I can to grading. There's an exception sometimes in a pack of notes where the margins will get a little bit obscured as you continue through the pack. But in this case, you know, like here's two nice 66s. They're not sequential. They come from different serial ranges. For the most part, I'm really trying to make nice looking notes. And as a matter of fact, if I have a note that comes back from grading that I feel like maybe it's a hair too tight for the grade, I 100% will send it back and say, hey, you know, this is what I think, and I'd much rather sell a note that I grade 64.8 in a 64 holder than a 65 that's just a smidge too tight. So you see me go through my submissions and I talk to you guys about the notes. I actually, when I'm pricing notes, I sit down and I actually look at the note and I try to agree with every grade. And if the agreeance isn't lining up, then I want to do something about it. So a lot of dealers don't look at the product they get back from grading. So what happens is you'll get a little bit of a saturation on the market with stuff that just doesn't quite make it for the grade. Here, the faces of these notes are a little bit obscured bottom left, and people are probably going, man, that's a 65. The back plate is almost perfectly centered, so the back is taking the weight of the grade. Still a very nice note with good margins. Just 65s. I mean, there's nothing to write home to mom or dad about. Just nice notes. Here, these are some notes that I've hand selected. 2009 $100 colorized. 67. This is Kansas City. Really good looking note. Here's another one. They're probably sequential. That's 11. Here's 12. 66Q. Just a good looking note. Some of these colorized series blocks are incredibly tough. Super short printings. Then they were replaced by newer printings. So, and there's books out there. The Small Size Paper Money Guide is one of the books. The book written by Robert Appizu. I can't even say. I think it's someone's going to correct me, and that's fine. But if I seen the name, I could say it. 2006 50 Kansas City colorized in 6. Not an expensive note. You can get a really super nice note, a little bit over face value. It's one of the things I love about the colorized series is, like on this specific note, they used shading and detail to make the stars almost seem and appear 3D, but they're actually flat. Another thing is, and I don't know if you can see it with our lighting, is they were still able to put in some anti-counterfeiting measures into the note. One of them is these yellow 50s on the back. That's an actual overprint that is applied. I have to look. Yeah, see, I can just barely see it, but there's a watermark right here. They use the red color. There's just so many great things about the colorized series. Like on the hundreds, there's actually a slit in the paper right here and here that can't be replicated. You can actually put like a toothpick through it or something like that. But anyways, great notes. Quick little video, just some modern, another bulk modern coming back. You'll probably see some of these notes start hitting eBay in probably the next week or so. I just sent out today, I sent out another tremendous truckload of notes. I have 3 collections that I've been slowly breaking down. Lots of Texas stuff, some really great silver certificate stuff coming out. You guys will see some of those notes coming back from PCGS Banknote. And you know, you'll see them as they come, and hopefully I have time. I don't have any shows until January, so if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. As always, it's a pleasure, and I hope everyone's doing well. And like, subscribe. Also, check out Polar Currency on YouTube. Dan is without a doubt one of the greats. We're going to have some videos coming out together in the near future. We probably going to have our first video post here in the next, I'm going to say probably 3 or 4 weeks. Sorry if I've misspoke or if I've butchered a name or whatever, but this is not easy sometimes for me to do because I get caught up in my own brain. But with that being that, I hope everyone's doing well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!